What's going on YouTube? I'm Nick Limon and welcome to the second episode of Limon's Library, a show that takes a look at games you're playing and suggests movies, books, and even other games that help keep you engaged in whatever it is you're playing. This week's game is Fallout 4. Fallout 4 is a game that allows players to explore a post-apocalyptic Boston and search for their long-lost son. Along the way, they'll encounter nuclear monstrosities, enemy raiders, and people in desperate need of some help. As is tradition in Limon's Library, let's take a look at movies. My very first movie recommendation is easily my favorite movie of all time, Blade Runner. Ridley Scott's masterpiece explores a dystopic cyberpunk world that puts man versus machine, and sometimes we learn machines are more capable of living than humans are. Fallout 4 and Blade Runner share one major interesting parallel: the creation of synthetic life. In Fallout 4, the Institute is responsible for creating synthetics, and in Blade Runner, the Tyrell Corporation is responsible for creating replicants, a human-like android race. My second movie on the list is the overlooked masterpiece by Alfonso Cuarón, Children of Men. Children of Men takes a look at a world where suddenly humans are infertile. While not exactly completely related to Fallout, Children of Men digs into a fundamental aspect of human biology: reproduction. What happens when a vital piece of biology is taken out of the equation? What is valued? What are wars fought for? All interesting questions asked in this sci-fi thriller. Now that we've got the movies out of the way, let's move on to books. My very first recommendation is Y: The Last Man. What happens when one day all of the world's male population suddenly drops dead except for one man and his pet monkey? Y: The Last Man by Brian K. Vaughan explores this post-apocalyptic world. And much like Children of Men, it doesn't exactly relate to Fallout, but it does show what happens when a biological need is suddenly the subject of war and controversy. My second book recommendation is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. This is arguably his darkest book yet. The Road follows the story of a dad and his son as they journey across a post-apocalyptic America. The world of The Road shares more than a few similarities with Fallout, but it likes to explore the apocalypse from a more human experience type perspective in a haunting and memorable way. And last but certainly not least, let's move on to the games. My first game recommendation is Wasteland 2. The original Wasteland directly influenced the development of the original Fallout, and that influence is clear. This game brings players back to a traditional isometric perspective, or top-down. And while it may be difficult to adjust to the old-school play method, players who invest the time will be met with deep and meaningful choices that directly influence the course of the game. But be warned, this game is hard. Really hard. My final game recommendation is the old school point and click adventure, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is based on a sci-fi short story by Harlan Ellison of the same name, and it puts players into a world crafted by Am, a supercomputer that develops sentience and harbors an intense hatred for all of mankind. Players play as one of the final 4 humans left on Earth as they attempt to end their never-ending struggle against Am, who just won't let them die. This game is tough, but for players who buckle down and see it through to the end, or use a walkthrough, you'll enjoy a thoughtful and provoking story that takes a look at what it means to be human. And that's sadly all the time we have left on this week's Limon's Library. Like what you saw? You know what to do. Did I forget to mention a movie, book, or game you love? Please, tell me in the comments below. You can follow me on Twitter, @AdventNick. And with all that said, I will see you later, Wastelanders.